Hi, everyone. Today I'm going to share with you 3 lessons that I learned last week that were given to me by Spirit. A big part of my passion is helping people understand their own spiritual and psychic connections and how they can develop. And as a result of that, last week I received some really basic clarifications on different ways that we can view the psychic process. So these may seem very simple, but I still want to explain them to everyone to share them because they help me to better integrate even my own experiences. So the first of these involves what we're going to call the unified or the one mind. Now, for many of you who are already doing psychic or spiritual work, this probably isn't going to be a big deal, but I still want to explain it anyway, in case there are those out there who are developing that perhaps haven't thought of it yet. So, what we want to do is we want to think of the unified or the one mind, or even what we might call God or cosmic consciousness or the all great knowing as the sun. This is the visual as it was given to me. So, I want you to imagine the sun is the all, right? Everything that we can possibly know. The next visual that I was given was the peak of a sun, just one little ray. If you imagine a children's star or a children's sun, as you can see by the image that I've placed on here, we can see that around the sun are all these little points. Now, obviously, this is just a visual, so let's not take it literal. Each one of us represents one of these little rays or spikes that come off of the sun. We are a part of the sun. We are a part of the larger unified whole, but in and of itself, we are not the sun. We are always connected to it. If you think of a light ray, it is being emitted from the sun. Light is coming from the sun, and it is shooting out everywhere. So each one of us is a ray of the sun. Each one of us is still connected to the sun. The light is coming from the sun. So in other words, we are a part of the unified mind. Now, what does this have to do with psychic abilities? It has everything to do with being psychic, because we tend to think of psychic abilities as this: I'm going to turn this off, or I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to get this information, and then we do this and we want to do that. The bigger picture here, the lesson that I took away from this is that we need to be connected to the sun at all times. Now, we already are. That's the trick. We're already connected to the sun. We are already always connected to cosmic consciousness. We can't be apart from it. Because we are a part of the all, we are already connected. We hear this in spirituality all the time. It's taught in all kinds of religions. It is the one mind. It is the God. It is the cosmic consciousness. So I want you to begin to start thinking about your psychic awareness as being connected to this one mind, to everything that is known out there. So when we are connecting psychically, we really don't know the answers, whether it's for ourselves or for someone else that we're connecting for. But the cosmic mind, the sun, the all that we are connected to, it knows everything. The real secret here is to find the way to be connected to that one sun. We are the ray. We are connected to our home planet, our home star, right? That's where all our knowledge comes from. It doesn't come from ourself. It comes from the source. And the more and the better we can connect with that in whatever method works for us, the more we are allowing that information to come forward. It is the allowing, it is the recognition of the connection that creates psychic possibilities for us. So, of course, that raises the next question. How do we do that? I'm going to tell you right now, ego, ego, ego. This was a part of the message that I received as well for this particular lesson. Ego is the barrier to our connection to the one source. If you think of yourself as that one ray, right? If we think of ourselves as an ego, as a body that is not connected to the whole, we see ourselves as an individual. If we're not connected to that whole, we see ourselves as a part and separate. And this ego is what keeps us detached from the fact that we are already connected to the whole. If we can, at some level, begin to embrace that we're already connected to all knowing, it's already here right now. It's there. It's available to us. This is the illusion, is that we are apart from that and that we have to do something. What we really have to do is step back, allow the ego to move aside and say, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what information you need today and in my session. I don't know how I can best help you. I don't know what the next step in my project is. I don't know how to solve this problem. I don't know what the creativity is that's required in order to help me manifest this task or this experiment that I'm doing. This is the whole point. You don't know. You are incapable as a single ray of knowing the comprehensiveness of the one mind. You have to allow one mind to drive, inspire, and motivate and move you in the direction that you need to go. Some people call this living the spiritual life. Now, here's the interesting part that was given to me. I was given the word samadhi. Now, this is a Sanskrit word. And when I first heard it, I thought, I've heard this word before, but for the life of me, I didn't know what it meant or how this applied. But when I went and I looked up the word samadhi, and like I said, it's Sanskrit, we see that what it really means is connection to one mind, meditation. So I want you to Google samadhi, and I want you to think about the fact that the more we can be in a state of cosmic consciousness, in other words, instead of walking around in our mind, we walk around in a state of saying, what is it that I need to know right now? What do I need to do? Where do I need to go? What do I need to say? What am I being inspired in this moment to say? And when we begin to embrace this samadhi state, right, then that's when we become connected to the one mind. This means letting go of the ego, and that is not easy. When we sit down, let's say we're doing it in a reading type of environment where I want to gain information from you, the parts of the ego that separate us from our psychic development and our spiritual connection to the one mind are things like fear, doubt, controlling the session, the need to be right, the need to make sure that things happen in the way that we want them to happen to. This is not samadhi. This is not being in connection with one mind. One mind knows what needs to be said. It knows what kind of ray of sunshine you are, right? Because you're going to get different information and manifest different things as you're connected to the one mind differently than I am. If you take a look at the video that you're seeing right now, you can see all of the different colors that are being emitted from this particular light body, right? So if we think of the fact that cosmic consciousness is like this one unified light body, each of us is going to be a different colored ray. We're going to be putting out there what it is that we're here to say, do, and be. And that may have nothing to do with giving someone a reading. It may be about helping you become a better student, a better parent, a better healthcare provider, a better athlete, a better healer. There are all different ways in which we become connected to the one mind, and the one mind knows who and what we are to become and how we are to manifest that. This gives way to the fact that, is it really a psychic connection or is it a spiritual one? I think this is up to you to decide. It is very much a psychic or psi-based process in the sense that we are letting go. We are allowing information to come forward into our being from the cosmic mind. In that regard, it is a psychic process, but in many ways, it is a spiritual connection. And this is why we often find that psychic and spiritual go hand in hand. We can certainly analyze psychic from the parapsychological perspective, from the point of science and experiments. But at some point, at least in my life, I have discovered there's a limitation to that. It can only be explored so far until we have to move into that space of faith and this understanding that something grander than what science can explain at the moment is taking place. And that is the fact that we are attached to everything and all that is, the great knowing. This is a spiritual connection. This is about trust and faith and letting go and allowing and learning to make that connection with the oneness. So I encourage you to take a look at how you're perceiving psychic information or your psychic development, and looking and asking it yourself, if you see it as a trick or something that you need to do, or do you really recognize that this is an actual connection to a one mind, to a greater cosmic awareness? However you define that is up to you. It is a connection that must be devoid of ego and that allows information to flow into you to guide you. And that's going to require some working on the ego. So that's the first lesson that I learned last week that I wanted to share with you today. And I hope you'll remember Samadhi and the sun and how that can apply to your psychic and personal development.